Christianity means yes to God. Christians are those who say yes to God. There is a popular saying in Africa, and I have heard that saying in many other parts of the world, that actions speak louder than words. I think that is the summary of today's gospel, the parable of two sons. The father had invited them to go into his vineyard. The first son says yes and didn't go. The second son says no and later went. So the second son is actually the one that did the will of his father. Actions speak louder than voice. I think the world today needs to hear this message, particularly for those of us who are religious people, Christians. How many times in our families do we find this typical example? Parents know this. There are some of your children who say yes to you and they don't carry through with their promise. And there might be one who is always resisting, saying no, but who surprisingly ends up doing your will. How many of us in our workplaces will say, yes, I will do this? They take upon themselves responsibilities and they say yes. And then when you show up at work the next day, you find out that the work has not been done. How many of us in our relationships, you say yes to love. You come before the altar, you profess your yes, your I do to your wife, your husband, and then your actions do not reflect your yes. The way you treat your spouse does not reflect your yes. How can you say yes, I do to someone, and then you go ahead and cheat on the person? You lie to the person. You hide in things from the person. You're gossiping against the person, and many other things we do against each other in marriage that tear our marriages apart. Then for us who are the ordained or the consecrated, who come before the altar and say yes to God, I will serve God's people. I will be a man of prayer. I will love God and the church. We say yes, but then our actions reflect no. Now, we are invited, brothers and sisters, that for us Christians, like St. Paul says, Jesus is the yes of God. Christianity means yes to God. Christians are those who say yes to God. So it is not really about saying yes and then doing no, or saying no and then doing yes. It is really, Christianity is saying yes to God today, tomorrow, and forever. At baptism, each and every one of us said yes to God. We reaffirm that yes when we received First Holy Communion and when we were confirmed. And when you received your vocation, either to married life, to religious life, or to priestly life, you said another yes to God. So at the beginning of our Christian life is the yes we say to God. And we are required. God is inviting us to always say yes. Yes, Lord, I'm here to do your will. Yes, Lord, I am ready to do your will. But this parable is referred to, especially addressed to the chief priests, the elders of the people, and the scribes, who said yes in assuming this special relationship with God. But now when God's Son comes to proclaim and is proclaiming to them the reign of God that has come, they rejected the message and said no to the revelation of God's love present in their midst. Whereas the prostitutes, the sinners, the outcasts of society are the ones who are flocking to the Lord. Those that the scribes look down on are the ones that now are saying yes to God. They are the last who are becoming the first. And the first, like the first son, are becoming the last. How many of us, and this gospel is addressed specifically to those of us who look down on others, who judge others harshly, who think of themselves better than the rest, because maybe I'm a priest, I'm a bishop, I'm a religious, because I'm a leader in the church, then I think that I am better than the rest. And I condemn others as sinners. This is a warning to each and every one of us that judgment belongs to God. For we do not see the whole picture. And that's why Ezekiel reminds us, today you might be a good person, you might be doing well. It is not about how you are today and then tomorrow you change. It is about consistency in your yes to God. And that's why the spiritual masters and mistresses speak of the habit. Spirituality is a habit. Serving God is like a cloth that you wear. You don't throw it out today and wear it tomorrow. It's about being with God always. So, for those of us in authority, for those of us who are parents, this is also a message for us to be patient with people. We didn't hear that the father of the second son threw him out because he said no. He allowed him time. Following Jesus is not easy. Serving the Lord is not easy. Knowing the will of God is not easy. And accepting the will of God is not easy. For some, it might take some time. For others, it might be quick. But sometimes it is better to take your time to reflect on what you're saying and what you're doing so that you can wholeheartedly do the will of God. So sometimes out of fear, out of a desire to please authority, some of us say yes to something that they know within their heart that their will is not sold, is not conforming to the instruction. And then they say no with their actions. So let us pray that God may give us the grace to always say yes to God. Every morning when we wake up, God says yes to you. That's why God has given you life this day. God says, come follow me. And by giving you life, God is inviting you into a richer and deeper and more fruitful and abundant life. So let us say yes to God, who says yes to us. And let us be patient with one another, especially those who we perceive not to be up to it. Because it's only God who sees the heart, only God who knows the mind, and only God's grace can help us to do God's will. And as we say yes to God, may the hand of the Lord be upon you.